You don't have the right to do this. I never approved this funeral. Step away from that casket. There are boundaries humanity agrees on without needing written rules. Lines carved into empathy, respect, and grief itself. Places where power ends and decency begins. Even someone like Karen should have understood that some ground isn't hers to conquer, especially not with a smile. This story begins with Mr. Wilson, a homeowner who, like me, never bowed to Karen's clipboard authority, bogus fines, or imagined dominance. Because of that, we were constant irritants in her world. Welcome to Deeds Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe for premium HOA drama. We challenged her penalties. We questioned her so-called authority. We refused to clap, praise, or play along. Mr. Wilson was older, quieter, but his silence carried gravity. We weren't friends. We never shared drinks or backyard stories, but we shared something stronger, a mutual refusal to be bullied by a woman who treated bylaws like weapons. When rumors surfaced that Mr. Wilson was sick, I dismissed them at first. A cough, fatigue, nothing serious. Then whispers turned heavier. Conversations shifted. At the next HOA meeting, his wife stood trembling, voice barely holding, eyes empty with exhaustion. She told us the truth. He was dying. Hospital bills were crushing them. She didn't demand anything. She asked softly, without entitlement, without pride. And something rare happened. People opened wallets, envelopes were passed, help was offered. Compassion filled a room Karen had stripped of warmth for years. Then Karen interrupted, pen tapping like a gavel. She declared Mr. Wilson a debtor, a rule violator, an enemy unworthy of assistance. She said donating was reckless, that supporting him meant encouraging rebellion. I tried to stop her calmly. I reminded her this wasn't about rules or landscaping. This was about a man's life. She talked over me, louder, sharper, eyes burning with imagined authority. No one listened to her. Money kept moving, heads nodded toward Mrs. Wilson, not Karen. When the meeting ended, hope lingered, but Karen stood motionless, jaw clenched, watching compassion slip beyond her control. In that silence, something cold and deliberate settled behind her eyes. I noticed it. Others didn't. Kindness had marked us, and Karen had started keeping score. After the meeting, I contacted Mrs. Wilson privately, not as an HOA member, but as a neighbor who couldn't stomach the cruelty. I handed her an envelope. Cash, no names, no conditions. She broke down like the ground finally gave way beneath her. Others helped quietly too, out of Karen's sight, because compassion in our neighborhood required secrecy. Karen, meanwhile, unraveled publicly. She went door to door uninvited, warning homeowners that helping Mr. Wilson meant siding with an enemy. That generosity would lead to chaos. People nodded politely, then closed their doors. Her authority echoed hollow. Then the call came. Mr. Wilson passed away. No miracle, no sudden recovery, just a hushed voice in a house that felt emptier than the street itself. The neighborhood mourned together. Candles appeared on porches, meals were delivered, kids were told to keep their bikes quiet. I believed naively that Karen might finally feel shame. I was wrong. At the next HOA meeting, when his death was announced, Karen cleared her throat and asked who would be paying the outstanding fines. No condolences, no pause, just numbers. She listed parking violations, grass citations, penalties issued while the man lay in a hospital bed. The room froze. Someone laughed in disbelief. Another person stood up and left. Karen didn't flinch. She reminded us rules outlive people. What made it worse was how absurd the fines were. Violations when no car existed. Notices sent when no one was home. She had fined absence itself. Mrs. Wilson sat quietly, hands folded, absorbing the cruelty without reaction. That restraint infuriated Karen. The meeting collapsed into whispers and glares. By the time we left, grief had transformed into resolve. The funeral was scheduled for the next morning. None of us believed Karen would dare cross that final line. Every instinct told me she already had. The funeral arrived under a heavy, muted sky. Nearly the entire neighborhood attended, dressed in black and gray, standing together in rare unity. Flowers lined the path. Photos rested near the casket. Loss filled the air. Stories were shared. Soft laughter escaped through tears. For a brief moment, the HOA felt like a real community. Mrs. Wilson sat in the front row, composed beyond reason. Then engines roared. Karen's SUV tore in crooked, tires crushing gravel like a warning. She stormed out waving papers, screaming about authorization. She claimed funerals required HOA approval, that Mr. Wilson was an enemy who still owed fines, even in death. Gasps spread. I stepped forward and told her to leave, told her this was sacred ground. She ignored me. Karen shoved past mourners, knocked over flowers, and grabbed the edge of the coffin stand, ranting about enforcement and debt. People screamed and Undertaker froze. I caught his eye. He nodded. As Karen lunged again, we restrained her, firmly, safely, guiding her back as she shrieked about authority. Someone handed me rope from a supply truck. We secured her wrists while others called the police. Phones came out, neighbors filmed, Mrs. Wilson watched without blinking. Sirens grew louder. For the first time, Karen looked small. Powerless, trapped beside the casket she tried to control. Police arrived to a scene no one could twist. Videos were everywhere. Witnesses stacked deep. Karen screamed herself hoarse. Officers reviewed footage, heard statements, and the truth aligned clean and brutal. Karen was arrested. Disorderly conduct, assault, vandalism, interfering with a funeral. Her clipboard was bagged as evidence. At the station, she demanded to call the board, only to learn the board was done with her. Court moved fast. The judge watched the footage in silence and asked one question: why did rules matter more than humanity? Karen had no answer. Mrs. Wilson spoke once, calm, controlled, describing grief interrupted by cruelty. The courtroom leaned toward her words. Karen was fined heavily, ordered restitution, mandated counseling, permanently banned from HOA leadership in the county. Jail time followed, short but loud. Back home, emergency meetings dismantled her legacy. Audits revealed fabricated fines, illegal penalties, years of harassment. Refunds were issued, apologies followed, a new board formed, transparent and restrained. Mr. Wilson's name was cleared, his debts erased posthumously. A memorial bench was installed where Karen once parked to write tickets. The neighborhood breathed again. Compassion no longer required permission. Karen watched from the outside, powerless, exposed, remembered. Control had been her currency, fear her fuel. Both were gone. Justice didn't scream, it settled. And it stayed. Did she get what she deserved? Comment below. Like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns. The end.